At Davos summit, Trump screamed, "You ruined America's economy," at Obama. What Obama said back made Trump's face turn red with embarrassment. Welcome to Real Life Stories. Before diving into this incredible confrontation, let us know which city you're watching from in the comments. And if you believe these powerful moments should be shared, don't forget to hit the like button. Also, subscribe to our channel so you won't miss similar shocking encounters between world leaders. Because tonight, you'll witness how Barack Obama delivered one of the most devastating comebacks in political history. But this story reveals something deeper. While the world watched two former presidents clash, what happened in that Swiss conference room exposed the real difference between leadership and showmanship. And Obama's response didn't just silence Trump. It left every world leader in the room questioning everything they thought they knew about American politics. January 25, 2024, World Economic Forum, Davos, Switzerland, the Congress Center. Davos buzzed with world leaders, CEOs, and billionaires gathered for the annual economic summit. Barack Obama, now 62, sat calmly on the main panel discussing economic resilience in uncertain times. His presence at Davos always drew the largest crowds. 3 seats away sat Donald Trump, 77, fidgeting with his red tie and checking his phone repeatedly. His orange tan looked artificial under the bright conference lights. The moderator asked Obama about post-pandemic economic recovery. Obama leaned into his microphone, his voice measured and thoughtful. Economic recovery isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about rebuilding trust in institutions, investing in people, and creating sustainable growth that benefits everyone, not just the wealthy few. The audience erupted in applause. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz nodded approvingly. French President Emmanuel Macron leaned forward with interest. Trump's face darkened. His hands gripped the armrests so tightly his knuckles went white. He looked around the room, seeing the admiration for Obama that he desperately craved. "Excuse me!" Trump's voice boomed through the microphone, cutting off the moderator mid-sentence. The room fell silent. "I can't sit here and listen to this nonsense anymore. This man destroyed America's economy. He handed me the worst economic disaster in history." Gasps echoed throughout the auditorium. Camera phones emerged as the audience realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. Obama remained perfectly still, his expression unchanged. He simply waited, like a teacher watching a student have a tantrum. "You ruined America's economy," Trump shouted, now standing up. "Unemployment was terrible. The GDP was horrible. Everything was falling apart when I took over." Finally, Obama leaned forward toward his microphone. The room held its breath. "Donald," Obama said softly, "are you finished?" The 2 words hit like lightning. Trump's mouth hung open, his pointing finger still raised. Obama continued, his voice barely above a whisper but commanding the room's attention. "Because if you're done with your tantrum, I'd like to address what you just said." Trump's face went crimson. "Tantrum? I'm telling the truth about your failures." Obama smiled slightly. "Donald, when I took office in January 2009, the United States was losing 800,000 jobs per month. When I left office, we had added 11.6 million jobs and brought unemployment down from 10.2% to 4.7%. The audience murmured in agreement. "But let's talk about your record," Obama continued calmly. "You inherited a growing economy from me. And what did you do with that inheritance? You added $7.8 trillion to the debt in just 4 years and oversaw the loss of 2.9 million jobs." The silence was deafening. "So when you say I ruined the economy, what you're really saying is that you couldn't maintain the success I handed to you." Trump's face was now so red it looked like it might burst. For perhaps the first time in his life, Trump was truly speechless. "The difference between us," Obama said with quiet authority, "is that when I faced a crisis, I brought people together. When you faced a crisis, you blamed everyone else." The audience began applauding. Within seconds, nearly everyone was clapping for Obama's measured dismantling of Trump's outburst. Trump stood frozen, his usual bluster completely gone. Without saying another word, he walked off stage, his face burning with humiliation. Obama turned back to the microphone. "Now, what was your next question about sustainable economic growth?" The room erupted in laughter and applause. But the story didn't end there. The real impact was just beginning to unfold across the globe. Within minutes of the session ending, cell phone videos of the exchange were spreading across every platform imaginable. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the clips were everywhere. Obama destroys. Trump began trending globally within an hour, reaching over 50 million mentions in the first day alone. The Swiss television crew that had been filming the panel for local broadcast suddenly found themselves with the most valuable footage in the world. News networks from every continent were calling, offering six-figure sums for exclusive rights to the high-definition footage. Back in the United States, cable news networks scrambled to get the footage on air. CNN interrupted their regular programming to show the clip in its entirety 3 times within the first hour. MSNBC called it a masterclass in presidential composure under pressure. Even Fox News couldn't ignore the story, though they tried to frame it as heated disagreement between former presidents turns personal. The reaction on social media was unprecedented. Young Americans who had barely paid attention to politics were sharing the clip with captions like, "This is what leadership looks like." College students organized watch parties in dormitories across the country. One TikTok user's reaction video, showing her jaw dropping during Obama's response, gained 15 million views in 24 hours. International reactions were even more telling. In London, Parliament members interrupted their own session to discuss the exchange. The BBC ran special analysis segments throughout the day. Sky News called it the moment America's reputation began to recover. French President Macron tweeted simply, "Dignity matters in leadership." Obama was surrounded by world leaders after the session, all wanting to shake his hand and offer their congratulations. German Chancellor Scholz told him privately, "That was exactly the leadership the world needs to see from America again." The Japanese Prime Minister asked for a private meeting to discuss economic cooperation. Even the typically reserved Swiss president requested a photo together. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau was overheard telling his aide, "That's the America we want to work with." The president of the European Commission issued a statement praising Obama's statesman-like composure in the face of unprecedented provocation. Meanwhile, Trump was seen leaving the Congress Center within minutes of his humiliation, his face still flushed red with embarrassment. His security detail formed a tight protective circle around him as photographers captured his hasty retreat. His motorcade sped away from Davos so quickly that Swiss police had to remind his drivers about speed limits on mountain roads. All of Trump's scheduled meetings for the remainder of the day were quietly canceled. His evening dinner with tech billionaires was called off. His planned interview with Bloomberg was postponed indefinitely. His press secretary later claimed he had urgent business back in America, but the real reason was obvious to everyone who had witnessed his public meltdown. The European press was particularly harsh in their coverage. The Financial Times ran the front-page headline, "Trump's Davos meltdown exposes leadership deficit." Le Monde called it the day American dignity returned. The London Times editorial board wrote, "In 5 minutes, Barack Obama reminded the world why America was once respected." Even the typically diplomatic Swiss papers couldn't resist noting the stark contrast in presidential behavior between America's past and recent past. Conservative American commentators initially tried to defend Trump, but even they struggled against the overwhelming visual evidence. One Fox News analyst admitted off-air to colleagues, "You can't spin your way out of that kind of public humiliation." Several Republican lawmakers who had previously supported Trump declined to comment on the exchange, a telling sign of his diminished standing. The late-night comedy shows had a field day. Stephen Colbert opened his show by simply playing the clip without commentary, letting the audience laugh for a full minute. Jimmy Kimmel called it the most educational 5 minutes in recent American political history. Even Saturday Night Live rushed to create a sketch recreation for their weekend show. For Obama, the moment reinforced his status as America's most respected former president on the global stage. Speaking requests poured in from universities, corporations, and governments worldwide. Harvard Business School immediately invited him to lecture on crisis leadership. The United Nations asked him to address their next General Assembly. His staff had to turn down dozens of interview requests from major networks. International organizations that had distanced themselves from America during Trump's presidency began reaching out to Obama's foundation. The World Health Organization asked him to serve as a special envoy. Climate change groups requested his leadership on new initiatives. Democratic movements in authoritarian countries cited his Davos response as inspiration for peaceful resistance. But Obama himself remained